Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's Jazzy of Store Sasquatch here, and we are doing our Throwback Thursday. I went ahead and held off on doing a Monday morning review for the Odyssey. So we got that one going. We have the new Pixar movie Toy Story 5, and we're gonna continue with our long list of movies we have of Marvel movies that we're doing this year to get prepared for the Avengers Doomsday. So we'll start here with the Odyssey, directed by Christopher Nolan, starring Matt Damon, Tom Holland, and Hathaway. After the Trojan Wars, Odysseus faces a dangerous voyage back to Ithaca, meeting creatures like the Cyclops, Apollophanes, and Sirens, and Calypso along the way. Robert Pattinson's Zendaya, Corey Hawkins show up in this, John Leguizamo. All in this very good movie, very good cast, very good acting in this movie. I really wanted to point out Hamish Patel. I thought he did very good with his character. Now let's get into the nuts and bolts of this movie here. Just for me myself, thought everything was cool. The scenery obviously is going to be great, just because that's all they kind of hyped up about this. It's the only movie ever shot in all IMAX. Blah blah blah. All that's great. Kind of has a weird soundtrack behind it. It seems like industrial music or electric music, and it doesn't really go with everything that's going on in the movie. The story is kind of off kilter to what you kind of know, because like in the real like Odyssey, even though I kind of really, I'm just gonna admit to just having a basic high school understanding of this this whole story, because like we went over in high school, we only did like a quarter of the whole story anyway, so I don't really know the full story, to be honest, just because that's just what the curriculum was for our high school. We obviously went to Cyclops, Sirens, Calypso, and other stuff, but we kind of missed some of the giants and stuff like this, so some of that stuff was like new. I don't ever remember there being a Zeus Law and stuff like this, but again, it was so long ago since I've even would have attempted to read this or know anything about it. But in saying all this, the one thing that I really remember from when I was younger was like this being a thing about Odysseus being cocky, um, and cursing himself against the gods while trying to make it back. And that's kind of why he got punished this whole journey. And they kind of made this seem as it's more like he broke Zeus's law, which I don't really think is really a thing in the Odyssey. And on top of that, he immediately felt guilty for it, and like he immediately knew he was cursed, and as to where like he had to learn about the curse and stuff like this as he was going on and going through all the trials and tribulations that he had to go through. And when saying that, I think that kind of loses a little bit of this movie here, when you do that, because it's not like authentic to the story, and I feel like there's a lot missing in the story. I feel like that the pacing of everything was really off, because you kind of need him to go through the sirens and the Cyclops and that stuff in kind of an order, because you're learning his sins as he's going. So when you're kind of non-linear, you're jumping all over and you're adding this whole new like kind of it's more Christian with like, do unto others and stuff like this as you want done to you, is basically what they're saying. And that is where you're getting into that, and that's so I think that they kind of forced this whole other new story into it, this like kind of more Christian background into it, and they got rid of the kind of cockiness of Odysseus, and they kind of went with a more broken down version of him, just to make this like darker and grittier version of him, which I don't think goes with what the original story was. I just didn't know if I just didn't really like this movie at all, really, to be honest with you. But you gotta like give it credit for where it's at. I give it a C plus. I really thought this movie would be a lot, honestly, better. I don't know. I think that he just got too much into himself. I think you could have cut a half hour from this movie. You could have did another couple editings, and this movie would have been like really good. It would have been like fine tuned and in and off. Instead, we just kind of get this like drifting, dull, no emotionless kind of story behind all this like beautiful scenery and stuff like this. And it just didn't. They didn't comment. They didn't two things didn't collide here. I see why the critics liked it. I see why a lot of people will like it. That was just my personal take on it. That is Odyssey, directed by Christopher Nolan. And then we're gonna go into like a real big different gear here with Toy Story 5, directed by McKenna Harris and Andrew Stanton, Tim Allen, Tom Hanks, Joan Cusack, Woody, Buzz, Jesse, and the rest of the gang's jobs are challenged when they're introduced to electronics, a new threat to playtime, who was played by Greta Lee. Came out June 1926, had a budget of 250, probably all the actors there. 159 million opening and 434.6 gross so far. That's not even worldwide. I mean, this is $1 billion freaking movie. Another win for Disney here. I mean, this one, honestly, it kind of makes up for four. I feel like there's a lot of good in this movie where I kind of understand what they're trying to say, and there's only like so many people who can really kind of do this right, and Pixar is one of them. And the best kind of way to do a Pixar movie, especially a Toy Story movie, is kind of keep it grounded, keep it simple, and keep it into like one thing. And they did a really good job with that here. They're not trying to like move everybody around. They're trying to show you friendship and getting out and meeting people face to face and not being through digital stuff and blah blah blah. But at the same time, there are good stuff to the digital stuff that they can take advantage of. So that is kind of where it went there. I thought it was well done. I'll give this one a B plus. I mean, it was quick. It was good. I mean, it's Toy Story. All these are going to be pretty much worth it here. Um, and that is Toy Story 5, directed by McKenna Harris and Andrew Stanton. And we'll start with our Marvel movies here. We're still in the first iteration of Spider-Man, so we'll go to Spider-Man 2, directed by Sam Raimi, starring Tobey Maguire, Kirsten Dunst, and Alfred Molina. Peter Parker is beset with troubles in his failing personal life as he battles a former brilliant scientist named Otto Octavius. James Franco's in this, of course. Rosemary Harris, J.K. Simmons, came out June 30th, 2004. Had a budget of 200 million, had an opening at 88 million, and grossed to 788 million dollars. Jesus Christ! That's really before comic book movies are comic book movies. This is all based off Spider-Man's name. Tobey Maguire is really good in these. This one in particular is like pretty much like the one as a standard set for what you do as a Spider-Man story. He's not only like faced with his actions as Spider-Man, but he's trying to balance Spider-Man, balance MJ, balance college, balance a friendship, balance this and balance that while also trying to like save everybody. And you can see him being thrown all a bunch of different ways. We kind of see um, him also give up a little bit and then kind of remember what his uncle said. And that's just kind of like Spider-Man's thing here. If he's always has to be better, and the responsibility of what he does is always bigger than him. And like, he really kind of learns that there, and it really does show this well with the story. Otto Octavius, of course, is one of the coolest villains, especially at the time with all the arms and stuff. If you have not seen this movie, I would definitely see it. It's still on Netflix. Like I said, this is like peak Spider-Man right here. Like there, you can argue maybe Brand New Day or no, what is it? Spider-Man, whatever. The new Spider-Man before this one is peak Spider-Man. This was peak Spider-Man before that. Then, so that is Spider-Man 2, directed by Sam Raimi. Spider-Man 3 here, directed by Sam Raimi, starring Tobey Maguire, Kirsten Dunst, and Topher Grace. A strange black entity from another world bonds with Peter Parker and faces inner turmoil as he contends with new villains, temptations, and revenge. J.K. Simmons comes back. James Franco, Thomas Hayden Church pops up as Sandman, and Bryce Dallas Howard as Gwen Stacy. Came out May 4th, 2007. Had a budget of 258 million, so we kind of see $8 more million. Probably Tobey Maguire boost there. Opening 131 million and a gross of 807.4 million. Almost $1 billion here. Every one time they got better, and everyone kind of says it's the worst of them all. And honestly, it probably is the worst of them all. But there are stuff that people kind of make fun of that kind of really do go with the movie when you watch the movie. So it's kind of easy to kind of make fun of it without context, the dancing scene and stuff like that. He's like trying to show up MJ after her breaking up with him. So it's kind of like, dual edge right there. Like, yeah, it's kind of weird they did it, but at the same time, it kind of works. I saw this one. I know I saw all three of these in theaters. I saw this one especially here, I think maybe twice, or maybe three times. Topher Grace kind of tried to make his start here with Venom. And this movie career just never did anything. I don't know. I was kind of mean, but I thought Thomas Hayden Church was very good in this too. I think that's why they also brought him back. And the new Spider-Man Homecoming. Is that it for Spider-Man Homecoming? No. Yeah, I think that's it. I forget all the goddamn tag names. But that is Spider-Man 3, directed by Sam Raimi. We're kind of got to take them through because we did a couple more than we usually do because I watched 2 weeks worth of movies here. X2, X9, directed by Bryan Singer, starring Patrick Stewart, Hugh Jackman, and Halle Berry. When anti-mutant Colonel William Stryker kidnaps Professor X and attacks the school, the X-Men must ally with the arch-enemy Magneto to stop him. Ian McKellen, of course, in this, Famke Judson, James Marsden, Alan Cummings, Brian Cox as William Stryker. Came out May 2nd, 2003, had a budget of $110 million, had only 85, and grossed at 407. So Fox really didn't kind of make as much money as I thought it kind of made on X-Men. I kind of wonder what the third one made. We'll just see that next week. But I mean, like, they just kept making movies because they did a bunch of Wolverines. Remember? And what else did they do? First Class and all that stuff. I'm just telling you, we got so many movies to cover here. But especially after seeing that trailer, it kind of really shows that you kind of have to go back and watch these before you're gonna watch them because you gotta see everything that happened to know where we're at here. And Patrick Stewart is still Xavier, which is like a perfect casting here. Bryan Singer did a very well job here, showing like a political thriller and a comic book movie. I really do like this movie. It does kind of set up for like the third one, which is another one of those ones kind of divisive. I actually do really like the third one with the Phoenix event and all that. So that is this one. That is X2, X9, directed by Bryan Singer. And the last movie we're going to talk about here is The Amazing Spider-Man, directed by Mark Webb. Starring Andrew Garfield, Emma Stone, and Reese Ifans. After Peter Parker is bitten by a genetically altered spider, he gains newfound spider-like powers and ventures out to save the city from the I don't know, the machination of a mysterious reptilian foe. That was a word right there. Dennis Leary, Martin Sheen, and Sally Field are come do this. We got a Martin Sheen, Uncle Ben, and Sally Field, Aunt May. This movie kind of, we'll talk about it. July 3rd, 2012 came out, had a budget of 230, had an opening of 62, and a gross 78. So it did get a lot of word of mouth. I thought this movie was better than people like to think about. This movie, I thought Andrew Garfield was a really good Spider-Man. Emma Stone is Wayne Stacy. She's really good too. Dennis Leary is her dad. Everything kind of fits. Martin Sheen and Sally Fields is Aunt May, and Uncle Ben also kind of worked. It's real good. They kind of do this weird thing of both the starts of the movies and just kind of never goes anywhere because these both lines of movies never go anywhere. But where they're trying to send up Peter Parker's parents as like spies, and that's why they're gone, and maybe something happened to them while they were spying, or that's why they immediately left, and that's why Peter Parker had to live with his aunt and uncle. I do not remember that in comic books. I kind of read a lot of them. Maybe there is something maybe along the lines. This is the Amazing Spider-Man as well, so it is a little bit different than everything else. But it is worth watching. We're going to talk about the next one. This is the second iteration of Spider-Man, so the one that are now on is like the third iteration. They did a very well job of kind of just preserving it, even though it wasn't so far off. It's only like 5 years since the new one. But when you really kind of go through comic books, you kind of see that there are like the Amazing Spider-Man, the Friendliest Neighborhood Spider, and all this. That's kind of what we're getting here. So I don't mind it, and now that we have the multiverse and everything kind of attached, it all kind of works out. That is Spider-Man 3, directed by Mark Webb, or Spider-Man, The Amazing Spider-Man, directed by Mark Webb. And then we're going to talk about the weekend box office here. The Odyssey had a weekend gross of $124 million. Big boy numbers right there, of course, with Christopher Nolan. It's just one of those movies that's going to be big, but it's just boring. Everyone knows it's boring. 2035 had a weekend gross of $14 million, so it's 435 domestic total. Minions and Monsters had $14 million. That's the last one over 10. And then 142 million altogether. Just to bring it up because we didn't talk about Evil Dead Burn at 25 million altogether. So horror movies still live on. Everything's going great with horror movies. Everything's going great with movies altogether. This has to be a really big up year. It's going to be probably over like $12 billion total when we look back at it because we already have a couple $1 billion movies and we have a couple more coming. So great year for movies. It just kind of sucks that on this great year you kind of have a miss like the Odyssey. But you're always going to have like one of those outliers. This movie is obviously shot for Oscar and buzz and all that kind of stuff, and that's what it's gonna get, and it'll deserve it. I mean, there's a lot of good technical stuff that's good about this movie, especially since they didn't have any CGI. It's not their fault that the source material in itself is just not as interesting as people think, or not as interesting. I shouldn't say as people think, but it's not as interesting from paper to seeing it as a product because it's just not a realistic way to do it with the gods and all that kind of stuff that you got to portray and all that. It's just hard to do, especially if you're not going to use CGI like no one did. So that is our Throwback Thursday for this week. Tune in tomorrow. We'll have put in our horror movie Friday. We'll start with 2 episodes of Ash vs. Evil Dead, and we have a new horror movie we're going to review too as well. Thank you guys very much for watching, and please like, subscribe, and have a good rest of your day or night.
Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. Comment your top movie picks for Throwback Thursday in the comment section. And see you next time in the cave.